For us, it's a privilege being here because a lot of the things all of us were talking about really relies fundamentally on a harmonization strategy across the retail sector. Whether that be in wholesale and retail, and it's good to see our partners, WR and CETA, they are big partners with us in our annual summit, so shout out to them. And then I see some of my colleagues I've worked with from the JD Group, with Anks and David Hirsch when he was there with Incredible Connection. That's been my journey. I see Oki here when we were at JD Group with the financing. So it's interesting to see a lot of familiar faces still trying to grapple with certain things on the African continent which we've just not got right. So really, thank you for the invite. I think you'll be taking a step back to see what are we doing wrong in the South African and the SADC narrative and what we probably need to change to make a step change. Taryn Daniel is going to quickly introduce herself. We're going to co-partner and ensure that you brief so that when we finish here, any one of you that need to contact us, understand, even Cecil, our colleagues at Cecil, when you need to connect with us, how is it that we can assist, even the solution providers. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taryn Daniels. I work closely with Michelle. We're a division of CGCSA, Consumer Goods Council. We look after about 12,000 member companies' interests, and they fall anywhere in the spectrum of manufacturing to retail. In South Africa, globally, we are a global company, and what that means is that we onboard any industry in getting ready to be a part of our foundational standards. The biggest standard being the barcode, which we'll tell you much more about. So we are happy to be here today to try and share in the discussions, but also to bring consideration to what it means to standardize a broad level of language between trading partners in a value chain. So thank you.
Okay, just quickly, the antitrust, just because our neutrality and our global applicability, we commonly known by ISO, World Health Organization, NATO, the Consumer Goods Forum globally, who many of you might partner with. It's important that we're not going to discuss anything. And the things that we are sharing, we do have insight to what ShopRite or Pick n Pay or Massmart or the guys who sit in our council and our board have, but we will not discuss specifics. But we are looking for industry solutions for industry adoption. So that's just the antitrust statement. So before we go on, just the members of our board, Garrett Ackerman co-chairs our board, together with Johan Foster, the CEO of Clover. So they are on our board. On the board, we have Woolies, Spencer Son, Pioneer Foods, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever, all their CEOs sit on our board. So there's a really board, Chichi Mponia, Soraya from British American Tobacco. What the industry leaders and their total leadership is trying to do is to make sure that they come together to ensure that amongst the retailers and the manufacturing side within the CPG space, there is harmonization and the advocacy to lobby certain concerns with the legislator or the regulators or the standards bodies that will work for the SADC region. That's largely the Consumer Goods Council's main mandate. The other things that we will deal with from a Consumer Goods Council is like the sugar tax, the liquor issues, the assignee challenges that some of you are having. Those are things we will lobby on your behalf. You will put in your feedback, and we will go to government and deal with those regulatory issues on your behalf. We've had some really good successes. One of the biggest things we've worked with was with the Listeriosis and the Food Safety Initiative. What are the type of traceability standards that we're looking at across the various platforms? And then we're going to talk to the e-commerce and bridging this gap between physical products and digital products. Really, that's where the GS1 part will come out. Before we go on, the only way we can make this really interactive is if you can just take your phones out, Google this particular barcode scanner called Cognex, and we're just going to do something with you.
Or in your Play Store or in your
Android, whichever one.
Store. It's called Cognex.
Okay. Then I just need one or two. As soon as somebody's got it, call me. I'm going to give you a product to scan, and I want to show you the physical link between the product and the digital link, right?
Yeah.
So
you can even use this water on your table.
I'm not sure if that's going to have a. It should have a.
Yeah, it does.
Version.
It does.
Anybody that's got it, very quickly, because I've only got 15 minutes, and we want to get the message across. Okay, great. It is coming up. It's definitely got a digital footprint, right? So the minute you scan it, it's going to link digitally. You're going to see where it can be sold. You're going to see who the owners are, and then you can also see the enriched content behind it, depending on how it's digitally connected to the Internet of Things or social media. So essentially, why was that possible through my phone, a proper identification? We had different products. Why was that possible? Because all brand owners across the world use a GS1 standard, and they use a GS1 identifier that's on this product, that's issued by our organization for the SADC region. And when we teach every single one of those brand owners, what is it that you need to do on product? So when we're moving into the e-commerce platform, this is what we want to talk to you on how we're going to bridge the physical world with the digital world, and what we know the retail channels are telling us to look at for South Africa. And that's what's going to change the in-store digital experience. Garrett always tells us we really need to move to smart labeling. That's going to tell us a lot more about products, where it's coming from, and this is what we're going to help enable from a digital perspective. Okay, Taryn, you want to just quickly go through
Okay, great. So just a little history about GS1, and we'll tell you a little bit more about our footprint after this. But it all started in 1971 in the USA, in a town in Ohio, and I heard it mentioned earlier on today that there was a Wrigley's chewing gum that was the first company to do something. It was actually the Wrigley's chewing gum that was the first product that was ever barcoded in Ohio in 1971. And this happened out of curiosity from some engineers that were studying at the Ohio University on how scanning reflectance can link to data carrying. So this business of barcoding is actually, in our understanding and belief, the primary source of a trusted data. Because what you have there is you have the brand owner linking all the critical data about the Wrigley's chewing gum to whatever else is going to be of use to the supermarket that was scanning it. So things like price, the batch number, the best before date, anything that's critical for law purpose, legal purposes, to be able to be captured and stored in a trusted format. So that's the history of GS1. Back at that time, GS1 was known as the UPC organization. So after they found out that this is actually something worth pursuing, that's going to bring efficiencies to the supply chains and the supermarkets and the retailers then and into the future, they formed this organization called UPC. A few years down the line, they opened up another body in Europe called the EAN, which stood for European Article Numbering Association, when the realization came that it would only work if we all formulated one standard. We formed GS1, which actually stands for Global Standard 1. So what you have is a retail industry that is far more advanced and have globally about 45 years of experience in perfecting the art of identifying products, movement of goods for their competitive advantage. And that's why we realized we are not the best known thing in the world. We actually call ourselves the biggest kept secret. So UPC, EAN combined and made GS1. We have now about 114 member organizations. We call ourselves a member organization because truly the benefits or our success is based on how many companies are using this. So at the moment, we have just above 1.5 million companies that are producing products, that are giving off services using these numbers. Those numbers you see under the lines on any product to identify a good. Why? Because it is the one global universal identifier. And what Michelle just demonstrated to you just now is the power of these standards. And what you actually witnessed was a B2C component. The reason why that information resides in a platform when you scan it is because there's a business-to-business need for sharing data. The projects that we've worked on with the retailers in South Africa have proven that it costs so much more money, more resources, and it adds to the cost of goods when somebody like a retailer has to recreate the data profile of a product. So before an item can get into a retailer's distribution center, someone needs to be capturing that data. Why is it a retail data capturer and not a brand owner data capturer capturing that information? So what you end up with is a break in trusted data. So we're working very aggressively to standardize the format of collecting, storing, sharing data, and using data to make it a pleasant experience for those gifted consumers with all the devices in their hands. So we say we have, if you look at the industries that we have uncovered using these standards 6 million beeps a day. Every time you hear that sound at the point of sale or at till, beep, beep, in a pharmacy, Dis-Chem, even in a hospital, now even going to be in a mine, that's GS1 because of the globally unique identifier. You can be, in the coming years, able to search any product and it should lead you back to the legal source of that product. And it should be able to give you a footprint as well as to where and whence that product has moved in a supply chain to get to your hands, and that's if you're thinking as a consumer. So these are the industries that we represent as an organization, GS1. You can see the first tab says retail, and that in South Africa, the retailers have been using these standards, the barcode, since 1982. I won't hide that that's the year I was born, but it just shows you how advanced we are in South Africa, and we either claim or pretend not to know it. GS1 standards, or the barcoding standard, has been piloted and in use since 1982. And in the rest of the world, like the US and Europe, it's been in place since 10 years before that. They started in 1971. So this is in no ways a brand new standard. It's all around us. You cannot buy anything today and it doesn't have a barcode on. The difference is there's advanced methods of aligning data, and now we're even enriching the data. So retail has evolved into not just FMCG goods. We've got groceries. We can also buy clothing in the retail stores. We can also buy our fresh products like fruits and vegetables. We can even buy TVs. How do the retailers manage to house and manage all of this data dynamically? How many different colors of T-shirt can you buy when you hop in at Pick n Pay's clothing store? And they are able to identify and link that to a price. So this is definitely the power of standards. If I can just add on the fact that we are partnering now with the mining industry in South Africa to help them use these standards to achieve the requirements of the MC3. So this thing that started out humbly as barcoding has evolved into one method and a trusted source of data that can be leveraged upon. And somebody asked here today, what is the system? What's the go-to system of the future? I'd like to say that let's take our minds off systems for a minute and let's give a lot of thought as to how we actually capture data. Am I capturing it the way you capture it? Why are we capturing it if we are not the actual brand owner? If I'm just a distributor, do I have rights to recreate that data, or should I go to the brand owner and manufacturer so that there's no rework and there's no mistrust about the quality of that data?
Okay, just very quickly in healthcare, I just want to say Netcare, and you talk about NHI, has used these standards. Mr. Friedman went to one of our sessions in the UK, got it back. No product goes into Netcare Hospital unless it is got a proper identifier, launched in a proper product catalog, content management, and that's how they list, because they feel that the trust for the brand owner has taken place if they've gone through the effort of understanding how they're going to identify the product. Very quickly moving on, the industry project we are doing is, there's an enriched data platform. Believe it or not, Dis-Chem, Pick n Pay, ShopRite, Spar, the 19 big retails. We've just got KitKat, we've got the Jobs Fund, A2Pay for Spaza shops. They are getting a lot of their product content from the platform that we host on behalf of industry. We're just moving over to a new platform. It'll also have enriched data, like sustainability data, packaging data. But what we've done is we've harmonized those data models. All of you are trying to do your own thing. What the standards do is help you talk to each other in a common method. When you do purchase orders in an EDI level, guess who developed that standard? GS1, so that everybody, through a SAP and any ERP, they're talking the same language. Don't forget the power of when you walk away here to go back to basics so that you are more successful in your e-commerce platforms. Alibaba, Takealot, Amazon all sit on our data excellence board, and they use our standard to ensure the digital part of the products is taken care of, and they use our data models. So this is where South Africa is getting it wrong, because we're all wanting to do our own thing rather than come together as industry and say what's our best fit for certain industry sectors. The reason why we shared this slide, Llewellyn Steenval is my chairman on the council. This is his statement. There's a growing recognition that data is a vital business asset. This program ensures that the master data integrity is assured throughout the value chain, and it allows stakeholders to remove the cost from the value chain and provide full utilization of digitalized technology and e-commerce. You know, Walmart is introducing a lot of changes into the Massmart value chain. Data is becoming a big asset for them, and we are working with them. Unilever, Tracy Dennison's IT e-commerce lead. She's been leading it from a brand owner perspective on the working group. So they will mandate that every single supplier in the Massmart chain must use the standard and the identifiers and the catalog to list products so that all retailers or brand owners list once and you push it to any retailer consistently. Reduces the cost tremendously. We've also have ShopRite is a big proponent. Lorena sits on our Counsil, and they see this as a game changer and an innovation for where they want to head for both in-store and online. When you talk about digital transformation is the product. Same thing with Marco. They're driving this really big time to get their e-commerce platforms correctly. So we have these guys leading the way, and a lot of guys will follow through. Come and talk to us. We are more than happy to help you with your digital transformations. So just in a nutshell, everybody talked about trust. When you look at the standard, trust starts with a harmonized approach to identify products, things, and services. And globally, this is the most chosen way of doing that. It'll enable traceability in the digital and the physical world, and it will provide a common language. This is what's missing in the South African narrative. So come and talk to us. I'm going to stop there. And the one thing that I just want to share with you is that consumers are looking for, this is the slide that I want to stop at, are looking to bridge the gap between the physical identification and the digital identification. And this is what will launch our e-commerce side. This is why the retailers have taken a step back. A lot of their projects have failed because they haven't gone back to the basics. And this is what we want to ensure that we can help you through the equipment you are using. I'm going to stop there. And this slide is available, the deck, to publish to whoever's attending. Okay.
Thank you.